that moves a pretty good amount of metal. I was recently contacted by a company called Banggood.com, and what they are is a worldwide distributor of low-priced goods of all kinds. They have a lot of tools, and because my channel revolves around a lot of making, they wanted me to review some tools. They offered me $80 in store credit to get whatever I wanted and do this product review. What I chose from their lineup was their set of carbide burrs along with their air die grinder and their angle die grinder. So let's start by taking a look. We'll look at the burrs first. They're all 1/4 inch shank. There's a large and a small ball, a large and a small round end cylinder, a large and a small flat end cylinder, and a large and a small round end cone. Yeah, looking at these burrs, they actually look pretty good, but we won't know if they're really any good until we lay them on some metal at high speed. Next we'll look at the die grinder. It's a decent looking grinder. It spins nice and free. It's got the safety lever on the trigger. Yeah, what else is in the box? They give us an exploded parts diagram with a, they name all the pieces inside. Not that you could ever buy a replacement part, I doubt. This is kind of cool. They include the 1/8 inch collet to go with the 1/4 inch collet. That is a very cool feature. They include a quick release air fitting of a kind that I have never seen before. That is neither the standard automotive or the industrial fitting that I'm used to seeing on every other air tool in the world. And they give you 2 wrenches, one for the shaft and one for the collet lock nut. So that's pretty decent. I don't know what's going on with this air fitting. That's nothing I've ever seen before. I'll throw that away. Then on to the angle grinder. Now this, wow, this is a much nicer feeling piece of equipment. It's got a rubberized handle on it. That's pretty cool. Right angle. Industrial, standard industrial air coupler, just like the ones I use in my shop anyway. The 2 wrenches again. Hey, once again, 1/8 inch collet to go with it. That is very nice to have. And exploded parts diagram. So let's back up and talk about value here for a minute. At the time of publication, this carbide burr set is $27.54. The die grinder that came with the useless fitting, wrenches, and the 1/8 inch collet is $23.99. And the angle grinder is $25.90. And the people over at Banggood have extended a 10% discount to my viewers should you want to buy any or all of these. And I'll leave purchase links and discount codes in the description below should you decide that you want to buy any of these for yourself. So let's install a couple of burrs and try these things out, see how they work. And one thing I noticed is the 2 wrenches for the angle grinder are completely different size than the 2 wrenches for the die grinder, which is kind of a pain. You know, you'd think they'd standardize, right? Anyway, with any air tool, you always want to lubricate it, and something I like to use is this LPS. They didn't pay me to say that, it's just what I like to use. And one of the first things I noticed is both these are really loud. I don't have a dB meter, but this is easily 5 times as loud as the one that I use for my polishing pads. Not such a big deal in the grand scheme of things. You should actually always wear hearing protection when you work with all this stuff anyway. Now I've been seeing some video online of people using these carbide burrs to clean off welds, and I know it may be hard to believe, but not all my welds are really beautiful. Here's an example of that kind of weld. Let's see how well this thing cleans it up. And you saw it right here, folks. This thing lasted about 10 seconds before it died. The carbide burr is still in excellent shape, though. But yeah, the motor has become disconnected from the spindle there. We'll take that apart and see exactly how it failed here in a while. But let's move on to the other grinder. Let's see how well it fares. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and clamp this down so I can really put some muscle into it. Let's see what happens. And that moves a pretty good amount of metal, but one thing I need to mention is the shavings that come off there are like razor blades. Okay, now I'm not going to go through every one of these burrs. One thing I did notice though is even with the collet completely loose, that thing does not want to come out. Also, unlike higher end carbide burrs where they're solid carbide, it's apparent that the carbide tips are brazed on to a tool steel shaft on these. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, you save some money. So let's open this bad boy up and see what went wrong. I'm wondering if we're going to see pieces. One thing that's kind of a cool feature about this is that it appears that this head, if the gears were still engaging with one another, would work at any angle. Just turn it. But yeah, no pieces came out. Okay, so I took my other one that is not broke apart just to see if I could see a difference between the two, and it appears that yeah, the tops of these gears are a little more flattened off. In fact, you can see it in that 10 or 15 seconds that we used it, it just wore that gear out completely. And this one's doing just fine. I got a feeling the clearance was not adjusted right on that, and that destroyed it. Okay, so I put this back together. I was able to get it re-engaged with the gears there, but given the experience we had so far, I don't think I'd use it with the carbide burrs. I'll just relegate it to the polishing wheels. One thing about this, I think I figured out why it's louder. This is supposed to be 25,000 RPM. This one's only 20,000 RPM. That probably accounts for the additional noise. Now this kind of sucks because if you saw last week's video, and I'll leave a card to it up here, I was talking about incorporating design elements from the Rose engine turning class that I took into some of my other work. Now I had this tool at the time, and it was my plan to use this tool to make something that would come in. I wanted adjustable radius and adjustable arm length, and I wanted it to come in and leave a big gouge in a piece of steel. Imagine a long crescent shape that could be adjusted in size and radius. It would come in on one edge, get deep in the middle, and go out on the other edge. And this was the tool I was going to base that whole project on. But since the tool didn't survive the test, I'm going to have to shelve that and come up with something different. I'll probably end up using something like a trim router, rotozip, or something like that. They're quieter anyway, and I don't have to run my air compressor, which is incredibly loud. So in summation, the straight die grinder, pretty decent. The angle die grinder, not so great. The carbide burrs, they're pretty decent too. One thing though, the shavings they throw are like slivers, and even now they are working their way into my skin. Every couple of minutes I get another itch. Good thing I was using steel. I'll just get a neodymium magnet and pull them all out. So I want to thank Amar over at Banggood.com for hooking me up with these tools for this review. I will use the burrs and I will use this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. Sorry I couldn't give it a better review, but hey, you know, things die sometimes. Apparently this wasn't meant to stand up to that kind of heavy load, because I was really laying into it and it just toasted those gears. If you see this video in the future and the discount codes don't work for whatever reason, please reach out to me. I'll contact Banggood.com and get new discount codes so you can take advantage of the offer. I apologize for not building the giant Rose engine engraving machine that I was going to use to leave embellishments on a lot of my work in the future, but it was all hinged on this. I'm going to come up with a new design. Look forward to that in the future. Anyway, thanks for stopping in. That's all for this week. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click up here to see my last video. Click over here to see something of mine that YouTube thinks you'll like. And have a good one.